Hey everybody, it's Mitch, and welcome to my next video. Today, our video is going to be all about Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 and having fun. Because that's what Dungeons and Dragons is. It's a game. It's a role-playing game, and people play games to have fun. So yeah, uh, you should enjoy yourself, have fun. That's the whole point of the game. If you're not having fun, wrong. Like that's it's really that simple. But here's the catch to that. It's an interactive role-playing game, meaning you're not there by yourself. There are going to be likely 4 to 5, if not more, other people sitting there at that table there with you. And it's kind of important that everybody has fun. And for the DM, most of that responsibility falls on the dungeon master. The other players, it's less of their responsibility, but it's still their responsibility. Everyone at that table is responsible for everyone else's enjoyment, although it mostly comes to the DM. But here's the thing. When you're playing your character, I get you might enjoy a certain thing or whatever, but if it's something that's upsetting other players, maybe don't do that. Especially if it's something you are pretty sure will. Like, don't do that. Like, keep in mind, everyone's there to have fun. So don't spoil other people's fun. Especially like if you see someone getting ready for a big RP moment, like, don't steal it from them. Like, legit. You know? Don't do that. It's, kind of messed up and mean. So, but yeah. Um, yeah, just don't mess with other people's fun. Uh, Other things that could come up with this are, unfortunately, maybe you've got a fun group style, and everyone at the table is loving this particular aspect of the game. You guys all have this thing that you do all the time, and everyone loves it, except for one guy. He's not such a big fan of that. And every time it comes up, he clearly gets upset. He drives the mood of the whole table down. Um, that's an issue. And there's a couple of ways to deal with this one. And it's a hard decision. One, you can decide to not do it or maybe change it in a way that that guy can actually get on board with it. Or maybe you talk to him, maybe there's some sort of miscommunication, and just by talking to him and letting him know, hey, there's nothing, no hard feelings, maybe he'll start to enjoy it too. Who knows? Try that first. If that doesn't work, there's other options of like, well, you can get rid of it. It's less enjoyable for everyone else, but it will make it more enjoyable for that one person and the group, and he won't be dragging down the rest of the group because of that. Another option, and this is one you really, really have to think carefully on, is maybe that guy isn't the best fit for the group. Everyone else is loving this particular thing in the group, except for that one guy, except for him. And it might be worth having a nice, very polite talking to. And the DM should be the one to do this, not the other players. And say, hey, maybe it'd be best if you joined another game and just weren't in this game anymore. That might be, you might enjoy yourself better in a different game. And, everyone else would probably enjoy this one. Maybe don't say that. That sounds kind of rude now that I say it out loud. But yeah, just try and be polite. If they're not getting the hint and they're like, no, this is fun, let's keep at it. Eventually you might have to be like, hey, I'm sorry, but we got to let you go. It's a hard thing. Don't ever take this lightly. Like, never drop that on somebody for something small. Like, make sure you really, really think it through before doing that, because you could really upset that person. It can cause a lot of issues. And maybe there's simpler ways to keep them involved and keep the game going and keep the game even more fun. So really, really think hard before you kick a player out because of something like that. But sometimes you have to, because they're just not fitting with the group dynamic. And that's just a thing that happens because this is a group game and everybody plays different. And if somebody's play style is just radically different than the rest of the group, you're going to have to deal with that one way or another. hopefully hopefully it doesn't come to having to kick someone out, but it can. Um, because say this is all about having fun. And if that one person isn't enjoying it and it's to the point where they're dragging everyone else down, you might have to do something about that. And just cut ties with them. Maybe, if you're friends with them, like, don't just stop being friends with them. Just kick them out of the game, but like, be nice about it and, try and keep the friendship and all that fun stuff. But yeah, um, or maybe try and find workarounds. Maybe if you have the time, start another game, for that person, with a different group. That could work too. Lots of options. But yeah, uh, let's get on a little bit lighter subject. Yeah, so you're at the game and you're there to have fun. Like, can I say something is a bad play style? Well, if no one's enjoying it, yes. Like, if you try a play style and everyone's like, this sucks, well, then it's not good for that group. Don't do it. But if everyone at this group, if everyone in the group's laughing and having a good time and talking about the game and giving all sorts of stories about it, oh yeah, you're doing something right. That's how you know you got a good game. Um, but yeah, a lot of this because Dungeon Master stuff, but this comes down to player stuff too. Like, if you happen to be at the game and you're just causing issues, like, try not to do that. Like, take a look inward and just try and be like, hey, recognize that you're causing others to not have fun, and you know try and stop that. Like, maybe you've got your own issues going on. I get that. Trust me, I've been there. But and trust me, I have been that guy myself, from time to time. So yeah, I know how this is. You gotta really, you know, try and bite the bullet and just be like, hey, it's not all about me. Let's try and make sure everyone has fun. So yeah, but make sure you're having fun yourself. Like, don't do that to the point of like where you're just not gonna enjoy the game. If it comes to that, leave. Just like quit the game. Don't just be like, well, I'm not having fun. The only way I can have fun, if I try and have fun, no one else has fun, I might as well just leave. Like, that's the responsible thing to do. Um, yeah, for a video all about having fun, this has been a lot of like really serious stuff. I know. Who would have guessed it? Um, but yeah, uh, I don't know what else more to say about that. Like, some things that are typically no-nos that you should never that you should just not do. Like, respect everyone's property. Like, people are going to be showing up. They're going to be bringing dice and miniatures and battle mats and markers. If it's not yours, don't just grab it. Typically, now, the first time, if you don't know the person, you ask for permission, and if they say yes, then go ahead. But still be respectful of it because it's not yours. Like, if they're asked to borrow a marker, don't like go shoving it in your mouth. Like, gross. Yeah, like, some people do that. Um, if you're borrowing miniatures, don't be rough with them. If you're borrowing dice, like, don't like hold them too close to your body. Like, that gets gross. Like, in your hands, sure, but like, some people do weird stuff, man. Like, keep them on the table for the most part. Don't put them in your hand unless you have to. Like, be respectful of the other people's things. Um, and, try and make sure you do as little harm to them as possible. Now, that said, your DM will likely allow you to use their dice if you don't have any. That's something that is very common. Not necessarily true though, so you should still ask. But if you ask and the DM's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, sure," don't even bother asking, and don't ever ask again. Just grab them and make sure you bring them back at the end though. Like, don't just keep their dice. Return them at the end of the session. Um, so, but yeah, a lot of DMs will do that. Will be okay with that. Um, and if it's another player that you're borrowing from, if you borrow from them every week, after a while, maybe you get to the point where you stop asking because you've asked them 4 weeks in a row and they said yes every time. Uh, it might start to get to the point where it's safe to assume that they're going to let you borrow them. So yeah, but keep just general courtesies in mind. Um, yeah. Let's see. For pencils, like same thing goes with pencils. Um, yeah, unless don't even like touch other people's dice unless they like give you permission. Some people can get really superstitious about that. So just like don't mess with dice unless you have express permission. Like personally as the DM, I let people use my dice. Yeah, except the metal ones. Don't touch my metal dice. Those are my metal dice. You can use the plastic ones. I have a lot of plastic ones, but those are my metal dice. There's plenty of plastic ones though, so that's not an issue. Like there's more than enough plastic ones. I have like 20 sets or some crazy number like that. Um, but yeah, leave my 3 sets of metal dice alone. Those are mine. I like to use them for special stuff. Um, yeah, like it just is what it is. Like, um, if you happen to be playing Dungeons and Dragons at somebody's house, respect their house. Like you are a guest in their home. Follow their rules, respect their authority. Um, if you are the host, try and be a good host. Like, don't be a jerk about it. Generally, the DM is the one who's going to host, but not always. Sometimes the DM doesn't have the best place to play, and therefore they have another player host the game, or maybe just another player has a really, really nice setup, and they're like, yeah, we'll just play always at my place. Um, so, sometimes that happens. It really just depends. But respect the whoever's house it is. If you're playing it like a local store, I know there's a lot of like hobby shops for Dungeons and Dragons that let you play D&D in their store. If you're playing there, respect the store owner. Respect the rules of the store. You are in a store. You're in a public place. Like, act appropriately. Uh, you know, uh, don't do anything that's going to get you kicked out of that store. Have fun, enjoy the game, but respect the rules of wherever you're at. Uh, yeah, this is a little bit of a PSA video, in all honesty, um, but yeah, this video it's all about having fun because that is at the end of the day what it all comes down to. That's why we talk about all these things, because if you're not doing these things, if you're taking people's dice without their permission, if you're using their property in ways that they wouldn't really appreciate, their fun is being impeded on. That's a problem. If you're in someone else's home or at a store and you're going against the rules of the house or the store, guess what? That's ruining it for the other people. For the store, I guess it's not really ruining the fun too much, except for the store owner might get ticked off and kick you out and just ruin. Now you don't have a place to play anymore. So that's a big problem you want to avoid. That's going to really hurt the fun. So yeah, and the same with the house rule stuff. They might say, "Hey, we're not going to have host the game anymore here." Um, you know, that's a big problem. If you lose where you can play at, that's going to hurt the game. So yeah, just if you're playing online, that's different. And I know nowadays people are playing online a lot because COVID, but it is what it is. And hopefully we'll get back to playing games in person again soon. But even online, you still gotta like respect things to a certain extent, and I respect that you're not going to see everyone's face necessarily. Maybe you set up a rule that that's the case, but if that is the rule that everyone has to be on camera at all times, respect it and be on camera at all times. If it's not, then you know understand that not everyone's going to be on camera. Use whatever tools that the DM says you're using. Make sure you follow the rules as you would always. Um, yeah, just it's a lot of this is really basic common courtesy stuff, in all honesty. But the thing is, I've seen a lot of this like personally. So people can do some people. There can be some people out there that can be problematic. Um, yeah. Whew. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's all just about having fun. And when you do these kinds of things, even if you're enjoying doing them, it's gonna hurt everyone else's fun and possibly even yours in the long run. So keep all that in mind, and try and make sure that everyone at the table is having a good time, enjoying themselves, and that uh, everything's good. If the group dynamic's not working, find a different group. Hopefully you're able to find one. I know that can be hard. Trust me, I've had troubles with that. Um, Now you can try and find a local game like, uh, uh, you know, personally, I got back into the game largely thanks to finding the local Dungeons and Dragons club at my university. Actually, wearing the shirt for there right now. Um, but yeah, for the club actually, more in the club's t-shirt. Um, but yeah, uh, yeah, it's a game, guys. Like, have fun. Don't ruin other people's fun. Just like, if everyone's enjoying something, like, then it's great. Like, what can I say? Don't mess with other players? Not necessarily. Depends on the group. Some groups love that stuff. Some groups hate it. Like, learn that kind of dynamic. Like, learn the group's dynamic. Learn what people like in your particular group, and just kind of follow that. It's really that simple. Uh, this is a long video though, but that's because there's just so much to say. Whew. Anyways, I think I covered everything. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. Maybe subscribe to the channel for more Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 content. This one was actually not even specific to 3.5. This is true for any tabletop role-playing game. But most of my content is 3.5. Ring that notification bell so you never miss out on a video. Anyways, as always, I'm Mitch, and I'll be seeing you